Good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to District's 38 Masterclass this evening on Pathways Progress. Our facilitator tonight is Gina Mongiello from Master the Craft Toastmasters, Compton Plains, New Jersey, in District 83. She has been a Toastmaster since January of 2020. She joined to become better at articulating her message to her audience. She was asked to be president in her first year and gladly accepted, and now is fulfilling her third year as the club's vice president education. She was appointed area director in the Toastmasters 2021-2022 Toastmasters year and is currently serving as Division C director for her second term. Last year, Gina coached a struggling club to distinguish in 6 months and is currently doing the same for a second club. In recognition of her enthusiasm, dedication, and excellence, she was awarded the District 83 Toastmasters of the Year in 2022-2023. Not only does Gina utilize Pathways projects to grow personally and professionally, she enjoys helping fellow Toastmasters navigate pathways so they too can use their projects to achieve personal and professional goals. A fun fact about Gina is that she saw a Toastmasters video decades ago. Even though she thought it was a little strange at the time, she knew that one day she'd be a member. Please help me welcome Gina Mongiello. Okay.
Okay, very good. So before I share my screen, I would like to say hello to everyone. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm grateful to see you all. This is a wonderful evening, and I hope that it's beneficial for you. I know a lot of you may be advanced Toastmasters. I don't know where you're all at, but if there is information in this presentation that you feel like maybe you're super motivated and you're really into Pathways already, and there's a slide perhaps that's talking about how to get more interested in Pathways. If you don't find that relevant for you, I wonder if you could think about the ways of how that could be encouraging for either members in your club who are not yet interested or invested in Pathways, or even if you're a district leader, how it could help your clubs and officers and members to become more interested. Because if District 38 is anything like District 83, there are several Toastmasters who are not yet enthusiastic about Pathways. All right, I will share my screen. Can you give me the thumbs up, Anne? Can you see that?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, we are here for Pathways Progress. That's what I have titled the presentation for tonight, because we are all progressing towards somewhere great, and Pathways really is about our progress, not just as Toastmasters, but personally and professionally. All right, I know when I speak to a crowd about Toastmasters, this is usually the response I get. Everybody's excited, smiles on their face, they can't wait. Really, it feels like this, at least from what I see. And that is often the crowd that I'm faced with when I talk about Pathways. And some Toastmasters that I talk to about Pathways have even turned their back. They refuse to do it. They won't even participate. And I am here tonight to say that there's an alternative. Which group are you a part of? Are you one of the ones cheering, saying, yes, give us more Pathways? Are you furious? All right, Pamela says yes. Are you furious? And have you turned your back? It doesn't matter. This presentation will hopefully benefit regardless of the group that you're in. And if you're not yet revved up for Pathways, let me share a few things that we are going to touch on this evening. All right, Pathways protests. We're going to talk a little bit about that because there are protests, and it's important to be relatable. Whether it's someone here who does not like Pathways, I want to be able to relate to you, or if it's someone in your club or a fellow club that you need to help them get motivated, talking about the objections with them can really help you become relatable. We'll also talk about the pathways problems, about the pathways promises. If you haven't caught on, they're all P's. The pathways possibilities, pathways purpose, pathways partnerships, and pathways progress. All right, the protests. Let's get into it. Remove that. You took our booklets. All right, I hear this a lot. A lot of Toastmasters who were Toastmasters prior to the change to pathways are very upset that they don't have the booklets anymore. And I can understand that. There is something nice about holding on to something, being able to flip through pages, seeing where you're at, and not having anything out of your view, right? When you go online, things are out of your view. And so that's why I think a lot of people really felt the book helped keep them on track. And I can understand that. You forced us online. Not everybody likes to go on the computer. Not everybody has ease when they use technology. So that adds another element of challenge in, which is understandable. You complicated what was easy. Right? These are all protests that I have heard. It was simple. You just followed along. You did what the book said. You got someone to sign off. I mean, by the way, you heard Anne in the beginning. I joined Toastmasters in 2020, so I never experienced the book. All right, but from what I hear from others, it was super easy. You just had someone sign off and that's it. You were done. No approval in Basecamp, approval in Club Central. You forced us to change. And nobody really likes to be forced to change. I mean, think about it. When you were a kid, did you like it when your parents forced you to do something you didn't want to do? No, most kids, maybe one or two of you here, but most kids don't like that. And as adults, we don't like it either. We want to embrace change, welcome change, move into change at our own pace, but it feels really hard on us if we're forced to change. Bring the old system back. I think there are a few people that are still hanging on, thinking that if they complain a little bit longer, it might return. I don't think that's going to happen, so it's probably best to move on. But let's look at some of the problems, the real problems that people have when they engage with pathways. All right, there's website challenges. I have those too, okay? Even though I love pathways, when I go on, I'm faced with challenges. And a lot of times it's either a slow-moving website, or it logs me off quickly and I have to get back on, or I get the error, and I got to do whatever I was doing all over again. So I get it. Navigation confusion. How many times do you hear or think this is confusing to navigate? I lost my place. I can't get back. Where was I? How did I get that thing? I get it. No bookmarks about where you left things off. Like imagine if you went into your Pathways Basecamp and there was somehow a bookmark that said, this is where you last left off. Like it just popped up on the screen and it prompted you to go back to exactly where you left off last time. That would be helpful. There's a learning curve. When I first started with Pathways, it really didn't get easy and ingrained in my mind until I was on level 3. The first 2 levels, every time I went on, I was like, okay, where do I go? How do I find this? What do I do? It was a little confusing. It took extra time. And it wasn't until I got to the 3rd level where it became very systematic, automatic, and easier. Pathways promises. All right. I imagine you all know that we have promised 10 things. So as a Toastmaster, you have made these promises. Some of you might not even know it or remember it, but they're here and they guide us. All right. And there are 3 I want to call your attention to because they all relate to pathways. The second one, where that first arrow is, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program. And Pathways is the Toastmasters education program. The second arrow points us to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations. There's no way you can do that if you're not to some degree involved with Pathways or understanding what Pathways is asking of you as an evaluator. And number 3, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs. So as you can see, there are 3 of the 10 promises that speak directly to pathways. All right, the possibilities. So what are the possibilities here? There's a key. What is it going to unlock for you? I want you to think about brain health for a moment. Now, even if you're 20, you're aging. Okay, if you're 10, you're aging. We're all aging. I know sometimes that's shocking to hear, but we are all aging. And one of the ways to keep your brain healthy, because you know there are a lot of unfortunate circumstances in the world. There are people getting diagnosed earlier and earlier with cognitive issues, whether it be Alzheimer's or dementia. One of the things you can do to keep your brain healthy, according to an institute with Harvard, is number 1, engage in something new. Okay, that's it, number 1. Okay, number 2 is to learn that something new and think about it. And number 3 is to practice that. So when I think about the possibilities that Pathways provides for all Toastmasters, one of the main things that I think about is their brain health, your brain health, my brain health. They're actually helping us by making this a little bit challenging, okay, new, somewhat tough to navigate. It's good for your brain. New challenges. Think about it. If you live the same life every single day without anything new in it, no new challenges, it'd be boring. It might be comfortable, maybe not frustrating, but you'd probably get bored quick. These new challenges are endless, and we'll talk about some of those. New skills. I've learned a lot of skills in the 4 years that I've been a Toastmasters. One I'll mention is how to relate. I'm still learning this, by the way. I'm still rusty, but I'm learning it. How to relate to my audience, right? Because it's easy to just get up in front of an audience and share things, but if you're not relatable, you can't connect with them. They don't connect with you. So I'm learning how to relate more with my audience, which is a huge skill that benefits me across the board, every area of my life. Variety and flexibility. Have you ever changed something around? Somebody asked you to change something around, like maybe it was an appointment or a meeting, and you said, sure, no problem, we'll move it to here. And they say, thank you for your flexibility. Right? That's a nice compliment to hear when somebody says, thank you for your flexibility. And what Pathways helps us to achieve is flexibility, because we have to bend and move and stretch a lot. And that increases your flexibility. The purpose. What's the purpose of Pathways? I'd like you to think about Pathways as a vehicle, a car, a truck, a bus, a boat, a bike. Think of it as a vehicle. Pathways doesn't have to be this thing in your life that's over here that's separate from your life. It's a vehicle that you can get in and drive to all the places that you want to go in your life. It's not separate from your life. It's unified, interwoven with your goals. And we'll talk about how to do that tonight. It might be a new purpose. But how many times in your life have you either reinvented yourself or decided you were going to start a new hobby, set a new goal that was uncharacteristic, a new purpose, something new? You can come to Pathways and say, I've never been a gardener, but I want to be. And I'm going to use this path right here in front of me to become a better gardener. It's a new purpose. Maybe it's the same purpose that you had yesterday, but a new chapter. Maybe you're a fabulous gardener, but maybe you want to try a new style of gardening, like perhaps square foot gardening, which is different than traditional gardening. And it really maximizes your gain in a very small space. All right, the partnerships. The really nice thing about Pathways, or one of the nice things, is that when you get to the upper level projects, most of the paths have you engaging in some kind of group, whether you're leading a group or you're motivating a group or you're reaching consensus with a group. They're partnerships. It's collaboration. Creates connection. And we're not just in Toastmasters to be better speakers and better leaders. We're in Toastmasters to connect. We're in Toastmasters for community. We're in Toastmasters to talk to other people and make new friends. And that happens in these partnerships. You wind up building relationships. Like, think about it. Is there someone in Toastmasters who you've become friendly with that you might even meet with outside of Toastmasters meetings? They could have become your best friend or someone you see once a month, but you have made new relationships because of it. Pathways helps you to communicate your message better and with in different situations with different types of people. And one of the surest ways to learn how to communicate is when you feel like it's really hard to communicate with somebody, like maybe you start a group project and you realize a couple of meetings in, me and this person don't seem to get along very well. Or like I'm saying something and they're not hearing me, or they're saying something and I'm not hearing them. Those kinds of trials help you to become a better communicator. And I think those kinds of trials and challenges are what we should ask for. Not just love it when it comes and embrace it when it comes, but bring it on. With that kind of an attitude, you could really excel. And asking for help. Pathways, because there are challenges, because there are things that are difficult, it requires us to ask for help. And when you do, you create partnerships, again, collaboration, connection, all of it. Right, so Pathways progress. A year or two ago, interviewed quite a few Toastmasters from Division C, and I asked them, it was in an effort to help our fellow Toastmasters find inspiration to jump into Pathways. So the people that I chose to interview were all fairly well versed with Pathways and enjoyed it. And I asked them what their suggestions were for people who weren't yet fully on board. And I have all of them listed here, but I just highlighted a few in bold. All right, here's Rami Ramakrishnan of Park Toastmasters, and he says, it's the same advice I'd give you if you were standing on the beach dipping your toes in the water. Jump in, and the journey will automatically take you. Next, I want to focus here on Diane Quayler. She's from Rockland Toastmasters. She says, Pathways leads you. Don't be afraid to click through it and let it guide you. You won't break anything. Sometimes we need to hear that. It's not like we're thinking in our minds, I might break something, but it's built into us, perhaps unconsciously, and there's a little fear of moving around or doing something wrong. But she's saying, don't worry about that. You can't break anything. Right, Ron Pisa from Master the Craft says, you don't know what you don't know until you ask someone who knows more. Simple, profound. We've got to ask. If we don't know something, it's an opportunity for you to build a relationship. Deepa from Master the Craft Toastmasters says, stick with it, hang in there, be persistent. Slow down if you find it overwhelming, just don't shut it down. Because how often do you get frustrated or know somebody who's frustrated where you just say, forget it, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Just take a break. Don't shut it down. And I also wanted to highlight a former district director of District 83, Anne-Marie Pochkar-Galakis, because the reason why I have her here and I'm giving her a special highlight is she has completed all the paths, right? All 11 paths, plus is on the second time through a few of them. And she says, what I enjoy about Pathways is the opportunity to select elective projects that seem challenging or even intimidating. Taking the time to brainstorm creative ways to undertake the project and present the speech. This affords me the opportunity to experiment using different approaches while continuing to develop skills. I asked her, what do you think the best thing, the outstanding thing in your mind is about Pathways, and how would you express that to others? She said, Pathways reminds you to look at alternatives. There is more than one way to get to the goal. Do not be afraid to try something different. Okay, a lot of times, and it's similar to what Deepa said about just don't shut it down. Diane Quayler said, what did she say? You won't break anything, right? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Jump in. Ramki in the beginning said, just jump in. So it's losing that fear. And sometimes we don't know fear is operating. Like sometimes fear operates below the conscious level and we feel tired or frustrated instead of feeling the fear. Like if we all felt the fear, it might be easy to address the fear. But if you don't feel the fear and something else is masking it, it's not always easy to get to the fear. But one sure way to do that is to just say to yourself, if I wasn't afraid, what would I be doing different? And what's your pathway success tip? You can start thinking about that. All right. I would like to hear at the end of this presentation what your pathway success tip is, because I'm sure you have one and I'm sure it'll benefit someone here in the audience. Now, if you're here as a district leader and you're thinking, how do I get clubs and members interested in pathways? How do I sell it to them? How do I get them to understand? Right? The number one thing is to role model what it's like to embrace pathways. So in your club, if you're showing up and giving pathway speeches, if you're giving evaluations, pathway style, if you're doing all of that, people catch on. Share about the benefits. I share about the benefits often, and I do think it really helps people. Offer to help others in whatever way they need. Meet with them, navigate through with them, help them come up with creative ideas to develop speeches. Invite them in to a deeper experience. You could stay on the surface of pathways, or you could go much deeper. I've been called Dr. Pathways by members of my club. So I pasted my head here on a nice doctor's outfit. And it was really funny to me when that name first started, Dr. Pathways. He said, hey, Dr. Pathways. And I thought, oh, interesting. That's funny. I actually laughed. And then he said, no, don't just laugh. Use it. You got to use it. And what he says, think about how simple this is. This is he's been in Toastmasters for 20 years. All right, I came into the club. He's in my club. I came into the club in 2020. He was struggling with pathways. He did not like pathways and he was not invested in pathways. He says to me often, I remember what you changed in my mind for me. This is going to sound so simple, you're not going to believe it. He said, you got on the call with me. You walked me through the pages and you said, don't worry about that pop-up box. Just click the X. That's it. That changed everything for him. Now, to me, that was common knowledge, right? Like I would never think that someone wouldn't think about that. But to him in his mind, it was a block and it shut him down. So now he says, now I go on and every time the pop-up box comes up, I just hit the X and move on. And to him, that was a huge leap. All right. So as Dr. Pathways, right, I am here to give you all a prescription that you can share with whether it's your club members or it's fellow clubs. It's just something simple, right? Just take baby steps with Pathways, just baby steps. 15 minutes, one time per week. Because if you don't go on and into base camp one time a week, or at least at a minimum 3 times a month, you forget things. You forget how to navigate. You wind up spending a lot more time in there than you need to, and it becomes frustrating. So what a simple script. Baby steps, 15 minutes per week, one time per week. And if you need me to be there with you, call me and I'll get on Zoom and we'll do it together. And it'll probably wind up being more than 15 minutes if time allows. Okay, so how can you jump in a fresh, creative way or help others to do the same? I'm going to share a few examples with you. I'm going to share 2 examples with you, actually, and then I'm going to give you a little blueprint for how you can develop what you would like to use Pathways for. So here's an example. Now, I have used many projects to help me either with my business or personal relationships or all kinds of things. I could give you example after example until tomorrow. but here's one that I highlighted. When I was working through the motivational strategies path, I knew I wanted to help my business. I wanted to do something that would propel my business further. I looked through all the electives, all the projects, and I came across the Create a Podcast, which was a level 4 elective. And I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a podcast. I actually created 2 podcasts. They were quite lengthy. It was just me. I wasn't interviewing anyone, and I talked for quite a while. Now, it wasn't business related, but I just wanted to get my feet wet. I just wanted to see, can I talk for 40 minutes straight and make it somewhat interesting? And I did share that with family and friends, and I did play a little clip in my club, and they loved it. I learned a new media skill. I bought a microphone to do that. Okay. And it wound up opening the door for me to be on business podcasts where I was a guest and they were interviewing me. I would have never done that or had the courage to do that or the confidence to do that if I hadn't navigated this Pathways project and forced myself to do something challenging. Here's another example. I helped a member. This is a longtime Toastmaster. Okay. He's been a Toastmaster for many years in a very successful club. And he came to me in one of my Pathways helpline meetings and he said, I have this, I'm up for this certain, it's time for me to do my next speech. And I don't really know what to do it on. I don't have any creative ideas. Maybe he even did that speech before in another project. I can't remember the specifics of why he came, of what the issue was. But do you know what I said to him? I said, what would be of value for you? Like, what are you working on in your personal or professional life right now? Like, what's, next on the plate? And he said, well, I'm retiring soon and I am moving into a part-time job where I'll be doing voiceover, speaking, using my voice. He has a very good voice. And I said, well, fabulous. Let's not pick something that's completely unrelated to your life. If this is an area you want to excel in, personally and professionally, let's look to the researching and presenting project. Researching and presenting is an elective. It used to be a project in level 1, but now it's an elective in multiple paths, not just presentation mastery. But he used that to study voice, pitch, volume, and tone. Because there's a lot of subtleties to voice that most people don't hear, but they do hear. They might not be able to say what they're hearing, but if I started speaking in a much higher pitch, or I started speaking down here in a very low voice, that would have a different effect on you. And if you're using your voice for business, it's really important for you to know the differences. All right, that's just one example. But that was like a light bulb went off in his mind and he thought, wow, this is great. Pathways isn't separate from my life. It helps my life. So how do you get to your example? Now, I just gave you an example here. It doesn't have to be this, but think about it. What message do you have for the world? Everybody has a message, right? You have a message and it's a special message and there's people that are waiting to hear it. You might not know who they are yet, but they're out there and their life might get exponentially better once they hear your message. There is an elective. Now, I just picked persuasive influence here, but you'll see that elective pop up in other paths as well. Write a compelling blog. And it's no joke, this project. They literally tell you that you have to write 8 blog posts in a month. That's a lot. But imagine if you said, okay, I'm going to get clear. What's my message for the world? What do I want to start influencing people on? What would I like to develop a following around? Where is my voice needed? And then create this blog. Write 8 posts in a month. You could possibly learn about writing, could possibly teach you about marketing skills because you got to get that message out there. Anybody can write a blog. Not anybody can get an audience to read it and like it. So that requires marketing. You'll learn how to deal with haters because some people love you, some people hate you, and a lot of people don't care one way or another. That's life. And if you know that, then when you write your blog, you know, if you're really speaking truthfully, oh, there's such a great quote. I'll try to remember it. Something about, can't remember the woman's name. I can find out for you by the end of the presentation, but It's something about if everybody, I'm not going to ruin it. And please remind me at the end of the presentation to find it. It'll be very easy for me to find, and I think it's powerful and it'll be great for you all to hear. So if you write these 8 posts in your blog, you'll learn how to deal with the haters, because that's a really important skill for your voice. It's kind of like the Pathways Project, where you have to deal with difficult audience members. Well, few people hating you on your blog and bringing up all kinds of things. Do you ignore them? Do you engage them? What do? You got to go through that a few times to know. And it will help you develop your audience. All right. So this is just one idea of how you can really use Pathways to be creative. So for a moment, if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, all right, and you don't have to share this with anyone, so don't feel like, uh-oh, she's going to make me share. Let me make sure it sounds good. No. This is for you. Write in your page a goal. What's one goal, one thing that you would like to achieve, to grow in, to try in the year ahead? It could be personally or professional. I'll give you just 20 seconds to think about that. Perhaps you've heard that saying, I don't know who said it, but something about a goal is just a dream until it's written down. Well, now you have something written down. So you've just turned it into a goal. All right. It went from dream to goal in a matter of a second. You can't look through your projects and electives now, but what you do is you take this piece of paper with your goal on it and you go through your current path. You go through the projects, look through them all. Just take an hour, go through them all, and start to say, what here is going to really help propel the next level of this goal? Put it together. You've given yourself a new purpose for Pathways, a new vehicle to get you to that goal. And that way, when you get your check mark for completing that level, right? The project, the level, it's more than just getting a check mark on Pathways. You've checked something off of your personal and professional goals. You're in progress. You're moving forward in ways that maybe you didn't have time for before. I'm going to share this as one more example with you. This is a flyer that I had made for a program. So I did my distinguished Toastmasters project this year, and I formed a committee and worked with the committee members to create upper level projects that would help Division C clubs get to distinguished status. And so I worked with each member individually in picking Pathways projects that fit in with this goal, that also fit in with their personal and professional goals. And we created really wonderful things. This is just one of the many that we created. So Millie Marino was one of the committee members, and she is in effective coaching. That's the path that she's in, and she wanted to progress on that path. And the project that she was up for was reaching consensus. And our overarching mission of Team Distinguished was to, like I said, help Division C clubs get to Distinguished. And following the moments of truth, one of those ways that Millie was going to focus on, she decided she would focus on member recognition. That was going to be her focus for the whole 8 months. And so we created this achievement recognition brainstorm where we invited all Division C officers to come. She gave a speech. We talked about what we were there for. We allowed for brainstorming. She completed that project. Right? She learned a lot. Some of her personal goals were to be able to speak better to her audience and more clearly, because she has projects in her personal life where she wants to be doing more speaking. And this helped her with that. All right, it helped Division C clubs. It helped her. She got the check in Pathways and multiple other projects. but this is one way that we were able to be creative and tie something together that worked for a lot of people. So are creative, fun, inspiring ideas developing for you? Make this your year to have fun with pathways, to see pathways in an all new way, to inspire other Toastmasters, to get involved with pathways. Right? This is your year. It starts in July. Well, you could start now. We've got 2 months left to this year. But really, think about this 2024-2025 year as like a whole new pathways experience. All right, that's the end of the presentation, but I have been given some questions that you all submitted when you registered for this session. And I have them on a next slide. I know it's going to look like a lot of questions on one page, but I do want to make sure that we answer all the questions. And after I do this, of course, I will take questions from you or comments, or you'll let me know what your advice is for how to excel or be enthusiastic with pathways. All right, is there a way to check the progress of the members in the pathways without going through each member's profile? There is. And I'm going to show you that. And it's helpful. I hope you don't mind me giving you tasks, but if you can bring me back to that after I answer all of these others, because I'll just show you, I'll go to Basecamp and just show. But rather than switching over there now, if I could do that at the end, that would be helpful. Okay, what is the expected time frame to complete a level? All right, a lot of these questions are subjective because it depends on how often you give speeches, how often your club meets, how many clubs you're in, et cetera, et cetera. But what I will say is this, think about it like this. Level 1, okay, of paths has 4 projects, but the evaluation and feedback project, you have to give 2 speeches for and be evaluated on your evaluation. So that's at least 5 speeches plus evaluating someone and getting evaluated on. So if you just write this down, like you can write it on page or keep it in your mind, but basically 5 speeches figure for level 1. For level 2, there's 3 speeches. For level 3, there's a project and 2 electives. Now, in some of the paths, that project requires you to form a team. It might even require you to give a pre and post speech. All right, so there's different, that's why there's no set number here because it depends on a lot of variables, but just think about that. Level 3, 1 project, 2 electives. Level 4, 1 project, 1 elective. Level 5, 1 project, 1 elective, plus a speech reflecting on your path. So on average, you can expect to give 16 speeches per path. Now, does your club meet twice a month? Okay, if it does, that means there's 24 meetings in the year. So if you want to complete a path in a year, just speeches alone, not taking into consideration the groups you might have to form or the consensus reaching and things like that, you would have to speak 16 times at your club meeting. Okay, so that hopefully gives you a little bit of a time frame. Does Pathways keep a history of goals over the years? I think by goals, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you're here and you've submitted that question, but I think what you mean is, does Pathways keep a history of records of all the achievements achieved? Meaning like every level completed, is there a record of that? And there is, and I'll show you that when I show you the other thing at the end. All right, do you recommend a specific path for the most impact? I think that's going to be very dependent upon you. What I say to new members in Master the Craft when they come in is I say, don't get too caught up on choosing the right path, because you could waste a lot of time trying to figure out what the right one is for you when all of them are going to help you immensely. That's number 1. Number 2, a lot of the elective projects and upper level projects are in multiple paths. So for example, that reaching consensus might be the level 3 project in effective coaching, and it might be a level 4 elective in another path. So don't get too caught up, but I do think it's nice to go through the paths and see what you resonate with. You can look at the projects in each path. I wish they would update. I don't know if District 38 has something like this. On District 83, on TM83 website, there is a pathways educational portal to the website, and you can go on there, and there's a fabulous document that gives you every single path broken down with all kinds of information about each speech, each project, each elective, but it's not updated to the new, it's pathways, but it's not updated to when they transferred over and changed level 1 and 2 a bit. But that still is a good resource. And if you want it, I can send a link. But that's a really good resource to get that overview. What are members to do who have completed 2 paths and are not interested in the remaining paths? Well, I would like to talk to you. Why aren't you interested in the remaining paths? There's a lot that they have to offer you, even if at first you can't see how or you don't want to be bothered. So I would recommend reaching out to me or someone else who could walk you through that to see if you really truly aren't interested in those other paths. And if that's the case, which I would find hard to believe after a conversation, is the new program that we'll be rolling out at some time. There will be not new paths, but somehow new mini paths called, I think, Explorers. And that gives you another option. So stay tuned for that. Pathways required for DTM accreditation. If you want to get your DTM, you need to complete 2 paths. And other things, but that's in terms of pathways, it's 2 paths. I want to understand how to identify paths that will help me hone skills that will be useful to me personally and professional. Every single path will help you with that. It comes down to your creative use of the path and the projects. And don't feel stranded or alone if you do on that. Reach out to me. I love helping Toastmasters, or reach out to somebody else, because there's a lot of other leaders within District 38, within District 83. And if there is another district here tonight, in your district too, there are people that can help you find who they are and ask them for help. Just familiar with using it, some tips to make it easier and keep track of your progress in the next steps. All right, hopefully I'll explain that when I show you the walkthrough. How to get someone to evaluate me after giving speeches. Your club members, if your club is a strong pathways club, which I highly recommend you move toward if you're not already there, you're going to get good evaluations. And if you want to talk about how to set that in motion, I can do that for you. But there's also lots of other opportunities. For example, go be a guest at an event, do a speaker swap. Ask somebody from an advanced club if you can speak at their club. And maybe they can come to your club and speak at your club. And you'll get, if you get an evaluation from an advanced club, I got an evaluation from an advanced club once. It was delightful. It was 10 minutes of feedback. They all gave me feedback and I loved it. It was so helpful. All right, next, looking forward. Okay, hopefully we covered that. We'll cover the navigation a little bit. How many speeches required to complete a path? We said on average 16. I'm on level 1. How many speeches are there? In level 1, like I said, there are 4 projects, 5 speeches, because evaluation and feedback, you give a speech once, you get feedback, you give a second speech, could be the same speech or a different speech, but you've got to incorporate that feedback and get evaluated on that. How do I get started? I hope we've answered that to some degree tonight, but if not, you'll ask it once I stop sharing here. When is the new learning management system coming out? Now, I like to deliver accurate information, up-to-date information. So I want you to know, I called Toastmasters International today just for you to make sure there wasn't any new information I could get from them on when the new learning management system is coming out. And guess what they said? We haven't been given any information on that. And I said, okay, thank you. I just wanted to double check that I was relaying the most accurate information. So it's a surprise. I know the suspense is hard, especially when it's been going on for over a year, but hopefully soon they'll deliver it. All right. And you would like to learn to form a speech with a particular goal. I hope that we helped you to achieve that tonight. All right, at this point, I'm going to very briefly share my screen and show you how you can check Pathways progress. Now, you do need, if you want to check members' Pathways progress in your club, you do need to be a Basecamp manager, which means you need to be a president of your club, a VPE of your club, or a secretary of your club, and you have access to Basecamp manager. I have seen on some instances, other people have access, strangely enough, but I believe that's the rule, all right? Those 3 people have access to Basecamp. And if you're Basecamp manager, it's very easy for you to find this information out. I'll share that with you in a moment. If you're not a Basecamp manager, you can go right into your path and find that information out. All right, let me share the appropriate screen here, make sure it's hasn't logged me out. I apologize for the delay. It did log me out. Oh, and it took a little while, but here it is. Let me share my screen. Okay, here we are. I logged in to Toastmasters.org, and something that can be a little tricky if you don't know, there's my home and then there's home. So here's home over here. If I click home, I can't, it's just information. It's like, well, wait, where's Basecamp? All right, but if I click on this down arrow and hit my home, that brings me to the place I want to be. Slowly, but surely. Go to Basecamp. And I'm going to scroll down to Basecamp Manager. You go to Member Progress. Now here, always make sure, move this box around, always make sure you click, see right here, it says last refreshed 5/7/2024, but that's because I went in today and did that. If you don't go in, it doesn't update on its own, and you need to go here, options, and hit refresh. And then it'll spin for a while. Still spinning. Okay, and now it's refreshed. Now, if I go to, let's just go to level completions. I'm clicking level completions over here. Oh no, let's stay with individual progress. All right, now you see inside this chart, if I hover, it's not here if I don't go in there. If I don't go in there, I can't find it. If I go in there, this arrow comes up and I can hit view details. And then if I scroll down, okay, see what this tells me? All kinds of information. So basically what I'm getting here is
We
so
don't see it, Gina. We just see
oh,
the
you don't
individual
see it.
progress. You have
Okay,
to,
hold on, let me
you have
share
to
my whole
share that. You
screen.
have to
Yes,
reshare. That's the
thank you.
problem with the web.
Let me just share my whole screen. Okay, can you see it now? Okay, very good. So here you can see up top, it still gives the chart, but then if I scroll down, it tells you the report title. So you can look right here so you know what you're looking at. It says level 1 projects in progress. And what that means is it will tell you if it's completed, but basically if a path is open, okay, or it's been completed, it's going to show up here. So for example, if you just look at, here's me, Gina Mongiello, okay? This is showing in terms of level 1s that I've completed 13 projects in level 1. That's spread out over different paths. And it tells you what those paths are right here. Dynamic leadership, engaging humor, motivational strategies. Now, let's just say you're like, okay, great. We see level 1 for what everybody in the club has done, but what about level 2? Well, if you want to see level 2, sorry, I have to keep moving these boxes around. If I want to see level 2, I have to go back here and scroll down. Now I've scrolled down and I get level 2 projects in progress. I have to make sure this has been refreshed, which it has, and then hover here so that the arrow comes up, hit view details. And then here, report title, level 2 projects in progress. And if we scroll down, we'd see all this information again. Okay, so this is how in Basecamp you can find who's done what in your club. Now, I'm sure many of you know, but perhaps some of you don't, that whenever you approve anything with this current system, you have to approve in both Basecamp and Club Central. So this covers the Basecamp portion. And then you also have to go into Club Central, which you can run a report there too to see exactly this, to see what's been approved in Club Central, to make sure that they match. Okay, so I could show you more things navigating, but there's 10 minutes remaining to our session, and I would love to see if there's any questions that you have or inspirations that you'd like to share with the Toastmasters that are here. Your tip or advice for how others can excel in pathways, anything at all.
Hi, Gina. My name is Renee. I'm in District 38. I'm relatively new to Toastmasters. I've been a Toastmaster since April of last year. I am still in level 1. I just did my icebreaker speech about a month ago, I guess it's been now.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Way behind, I think, but I'm just not clear on how I access pathways.
Oh, okay. So
I mean, like I've been in there, and I knew that I had to do an icebreaker speech. I was told by members of my club what my speech needed to be about. But I'm having difficulty, I guess, a little bit with navigation. And I'm seeing, I'm looking at something now. When I go in there, I see something, but I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right thing. So
all right, let me
that's
show you.
kind of like my issue. Okay.
Okay. I'll show you, because I'm sure it could help someone else here tonight. So we're going to go back to Toastmasters.org so we get that homepage. Hey, welcome, Gina. My home. Basecamp.
Okay.
Okay. And then I click here, Master the Craft, because that's my club, right? So I click there, and it's going to open this page up, which don't worry about all the stuff on here. Just click Paths and Learning. And there are other ways to get to the same place. There's more than one ways to get here, like someone else said, but this is the way I get it, and I just find it simple.
Oh, okay. So I've seen this, and then I opened the curriculum.
I'm going to show you.
Okay. Because we kind of use a similar system at work. And so when we open the curriculum, there's videos or there's SOPs or there's something that we're supposed to. So I guess I'm thinking that I'm supposed to do something.
You are. I'm going to show you. Okay.
Okay.
So here we are. I've opened up my persuasive influence path, and I'm just going to show you the basics here. Okay. Over on this left-hand side, it tells me the name of my path, and it gives me all the levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. I can click on any one of these, and it'll bring up everything over here. If I click on level 2, you'll see everything come up over here. So you can click over there to get to the level. Now, you said you're on level 1 and you just completed your icebreaker. If you navigated through, did you navigate through to the whole tutorial to understand?
Well, I just opened up writing a speech with purpose.
Okay.
So am I supposed to now write a speech with a purpose? I mean, like, that's what I'm confused about. I'm thinking that I'm supposed to be doing something.
All right, let me answer that for you.
Or should I just move to the next thing?
Renee, let me answer that for you. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, you should check to make sure that you have a check mark here, because if you don't, it means you didn't go in and fill out the post-speech survey.
I think there's a check mark there.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll check
So
again.
when you open up writing a speech with purpose, you hit launch and it opens. Okay. And your job before you give your speech is to navigate through every single one of these pages. Let me go back to the beginning and understand what they would like you to do for this particular project. You'll see the arrows over here to the right and the left move you forward and back, or you can also click down here on the arrow and jump around once you've gone through it once and you just want to get to a different place. So for example, if I click here, it shows me that there's a video I could play. Okay. Here, anytime when this direction bar pops up, just click down unless you need directions. But basically, it's just telling you how to use the screen. You click on these red, right? You read everything here. You go to the next. You go through this whole thing. Now, if you don't like this style of learning, where it's like page by page by page, and you'd like to see everything in just one file, what you can do is go down here, go to the end.
Oh.
Go to the
Evaluation and resource page.
Thank you. Okay, and here you can hit print my project. And if you hit print my project, it won't print it out, but it'll give you the PDF version of everything they're saying in there, minus the videos. Because for some people, they just like to see it in one unified document. And once you read through all of that and you have a really good idea, Renee, of what they're asking you to do for this project, then you start to prepare your speech. Then you give your speech, and then you come back in here, you fill out the post survey. Okay, and then that gets you the check mark, and then you're ready to move on to the next speech.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Thank you for
was.
asking that question.
Thank
Are there
you.
any, you're welcome. Are there any other questions, comments, inspiration you'd like to share, something you do that you find really helpful that you think would benefit other Toastmasters? Yes, Millie. Oh, Millie, you're here.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, Gina. Thank you so much for this masterclass. It is awesome, and it's very nice to see too many Toastmasters learning something else. Every time I join any of these events, masterclasses, or seminars, I end with something new, and it's wonderful. Thank you so much, Gina. I just wanted to say that maybe sometimes when you are in the club as a member, you need somebody to push you a little bit, because it's for everybody, it's so comfortable just to stay where you are. I mean, we always have excuses, but if somebody commits you to do something, you have two choices. You do or you don't. And if you don't take any action, it's going to be your loss. But if you take action, the person who is asking you to do something, I'm pretty sure she, or in this case, Gina, is going to help you. So if you're a club president or VPE or a leader there, push your people. Because if you don't push, it's going to be slow with power.
Excellent. I love that, Millie. I think that really gives us two things to leave with, which is one, who is pushing you? Maybe you're resisting it. How do you welcome that push a little bit more? And who are you pushing? Push somebody in your club nicely, a friendly push. But maybe there's somebody waiting for you to give them a nice, friendly push to move you out of your comfort zone. Thank you for sharing that, Millie. Michael, what is your question or comment?
Very briefly, my comment is that I lead a 1-hour Pathways and TI website and club website introduction for a new member. We try to schedule that within 2 weeks of their joining the club. And during that time, I will take them through, I will ask them questions so that they can select the correct path for them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll register that path on Toastmasters. We'll go into level 1, so now they're shown up as registered as in Pathways, and we will schedule their icebreaker. So that all happens as soon as somebody joins, and then we have a level 1 coaching program to help people specifically through level 1, and if they want to continue on with their coach, they can do that.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so
Michael,
we are.
Yeah.
We are a Pathways. This is the program. You joined Toastmasters, and now you're in Pathways.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's really how it should be. So thank you for sharing that. It's so great that you walk them through that right in the beginning. And that way there's no choice. It's not like they could be in Toastmasters and not do Pathways. So that's awesome. Thank you for doing that and for sharing that. Okay, Regine?
I think a very simple thing, and I noticed that while I was visiting clubs that they don't do this, ask for help.
Mm.
And really don't just say, I have a problem, but really do something about it. I find this is not really used as it should be. I'm not sure what the reason is, if they are feeling intimidated or feeling they don't meet somebody's expectation if they ask, I have no clue. But that is something I stumbled over quite frequently.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And it is really helpful for us to know that. I imagine a lot of you are leaders here. And I find that sometimes people don't ask for help because everything is so confusing that they don't even know what the question is. So for example, imagine if somebody just placed you in a room where you had no idea what was going on. You wouldn't know what question to ask. So I wonder if there's somehow a question and answer sheet or an FAQ page or something that would help them to even know what question to ask. But thank you for sharing that. I'm sure lots of people can relate to that, Regine. Anne?
Okay, my hand is only up because we have reached the 8 o'clock hour.
Thank
Now,
you. Keeping us in time.
before we clap for Gina and everybody comes off mute, I want everybody to come on camera, and Sue Brooks is going to do a photo shoot. And if you would like a copy of it, I'd be happy to send it to you in email. But if you could come on so I can see all these beautiful smiling faces. Come on, Beatrice, Denise, Grizel, come on camera, and let's get this wonderful picture taken because she's going to have to take 2 shots. We got 2 screens here tonight, Toastmasters. Thank you all for coming. This is exciting. Sue, let us know when you're ready and give us the, the usual 1, 2, 3 count. Prep us.
Thank you so much, Anne. I am able to capture everybody on screen in one shot.
Awesome.
I will give you a countdown, 1, 2, 3, to keep your cameras on and your smiles on. And as Anne let us know, this will be used for her own educational DTM project. She's not going to go post it on social media or anything. So if
No.
you're able to, Anne would love it if everybody could come on camera. I'll give you a prompt for your smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
wow. Sue.
I'll be
Thank you, Sue.
I'll be sharing this with, actually I could put it in the chat and Anne can then.
That would be great if you put it in chat, then they can all download it. Thank you, Sue. I would like everybody to, yes, Sue.
And before you close out, can I share that quote? I pulled it up. Can I share that
Yes.
quote with everyone? All right. The quote is by Ashley Orman. I don't know who that is, but she says, honestly, if everyone likes what you say, something is wrong with your message. Not everybody's going to like your message. And if everybody does, you're not yet clear enough on what your message is, because you're going to have people that don't like it. You're going to have people that love it. And you're going to have a bunch of people that don't care one way or another. All right. Thank you, Anne.
Words of wisdom, please come off mute and let's hear it up for Gina for this fantabulous presentation she has done for us here in District 38. We have District 83, District 38, District 75, and District 55 registered last I checked. Let's hear it up for her. Come on.
Thank you.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Thank you so much. It was a fabulous, fabulous presentation, Gina. You have to come back again.
Thank you.
We loved it.
You're welcome.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Everyone.
Good night.